hooks you to a game, for some it's a challenge, for others the satisfaction of seeing a number go up. Maybe it's seeing a solution come to fruition, or any other number of reasons. Hey, it's me, Jazzy C, and for me, it's a good story and its characters. When those hit, I buy in full force. Give me the backpack, the collectibles, the art book, the spin-off games, the half-naked figurines! Just kidding about the last one? I don't have those, unless this one counts. It's not lewd, but it could be? My point is that kind of resonance is very cool. It's kind of the basis of fandom, right? And is also the explanation as to how a cross-promotional event made me spend 1,000 hours playing a fucking clicker game. You'd think I learned my lesson after Egg. Granted, I like to think I'm judicious in my investment, monetary or otherwise. I feel like I've been forgetting something. Nah, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. For that stupid ending joke, I actually spent $7 Americano dollars to get this stupid ass skin for Asterion in this stupid idle game from fucking Wizards of the Coast, man. It's so dumb, I don't even play it. Please help me recoup costs. We bought this shit. Man, it's not even refundable because there's like consumables in game for this shit and Steam doesn't let you refund it. Ah! I don't have deep enough pockets to just buy everything, and neither would I want to. You can hook me, but you can only keep me as long as I see you are as invested as I am in what you're doing. And well, this game was! And I'd love to tell you about my journey with it and how I got all our favorite BG3 characters and made them into absolute monsters. You might have seen Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms on Steam's front page. It pops up there now and then when a new update and some freebies come around. And yes, that means if you start playing now, you miss so much stuff. Oh, doesn't that feel bad? Yeah, let the FOMO flow through you as it did with me. In it, you control a party of heroes who trudge on from area to area, fighting enemies and collecting gold to power up enough to beat the next enemies in the next area, and then finally the boss that appears at the end of every 5 areas. Rinse and repeat until you reach the area goal of the adventure. Beating an adventure means unlocking its variants and the next adventure. You keep going until you beat the campaign, so you can move on to the next campaign. There are many of them, and they're all based on D&D 5e's actual campaign modules. Isn't that fun? That's the game in a nutshell. But of course, the Mazhar is in the details, right? I haven't mentioned things like the patron system, time gates, the hundreds of different champions and their types, feats, abilities, ultimates, and so on, the long events, the short events, the normal gems, the corrupted gems, the item levels, the item pigments, their shiny and gold versions, which are different from their gold and rarity, by the way, the potions of speed, fire, champion damage, health, and gold, the gold, silver, electrum, platinum chests, the favor system, time at trials, Moldrum cores, oh god, the Moldrum cores, not the fucking Moldrum cores, nah! Simple, right? Well, look, don't worry, I don't want to explain everything to you, just to give you a feel for the game. So let's do it like Jack the Ripper, one piece at a time. Let's start off with the champions part of the title. After all, that is the thing we're after, right? To put it into clicker game terms, they are your enemy clickers. They kill our foes, which gets us gold, which we then use to level them up, so they can kill the common stronger foes and so on. The most clicking you'll be doing in this game is actually leveling up these guys, though at the very start, clicking enemies too might help. Regardless, do yourself a favor and use the F keys to level them up instead. There's also this handy toggle that levels them up multiple levels at a time, so use those and try not to give yourself carpal tunnel like I did myself. But these guys aren't just clickers. They have ultimate abilities you can cast for damage and passive abilities that will outright change your gameplay completely. This is where the strategy part of the game is found, in your champion placement, your party composition, what abilities you choose from their specialization options, etc. Do you get the character that's best suited for the job at hand, or the one that gives you a dopamine hit of nostalgia? I know which one I picked all the time. Champions are all very different, but we'll be getting more into all of this when we get to the actual BG3 character. At any rate, these guys are also your health. There's no DM here to save your ass in case you TPK. All this does is throw you back to the last area, but the important thing is that if your party was progressing while you were offline, which is a big part of the game, this turns then idle, so no offline progression on the mission anymore after that. Now your party has 12 champion seats, each increasingly more expensive to unlock. So seats are like slots, champions go in a seat, but only a specific seat. For example, BPEG and Spurt both occupy the third seat, meaning only one of them can be out at a time. But this minor restriction does influence what you should be doing at large in the game, as it does mean it's a good idea to work on getting an extra champion for every seat. Remember the variants I mentioned you unlock when you complete an adventure? Well, they usually have some sort of restriction, which ranges from only champions of a certain class can be used, all the way to your party's going to be constantly attacked by mad cows to spit disease, or cast that stun your champions with their cuteness, or whatever crazy thing else. I really appreciate this game's penchant for D&D silliness. Anyway, that means champions will be frequently locked out of certain variants, and completing those will be necessary to progress the game. Getting a second champion for every slot will also open up another party slot for you. 3 for each gets you another slot, same thing for 4. Yes, that does mean you can do 4 adventures at once.
Shall we, boss?
Get in that Hermes grindset mindset, buddy. This is what it is all about. With everything in this game being easily measured in real-time hours, doing things like there's no tomorrow is a good idea. Anyway, the champions you start with by default are called Evergreen. Or Baldur's Gate lovelies, however, are event champions. You can guess why. But just in case you can't, they are only available during events. Or via the use of time pieces. With 6 time pieces, you can open a time gate to get any champion you want. Trouble is, time gates aren't named that for nothing because time pieces drop at a rate of 1 per week. See, isn't that 6 weeks for a champion? Yup. How many BG3 characters do we have to get again? About 12. Oh no. Don't worry, we do get free gates every month, with a choice between 3 random characters. Okay, so it's not actually as bad as it looks. Well, it is, but there are ways to make it better. Let's talk about progression for a hot minute. Each campaign is harder than the last, so you'll be needing some power boosts to help you get through them. There are 3 major boosts. First boost is Fervor. Each campaign has a god associated with it. The more gold you collect on that campaign, the more favor you get with them. That Fervor then acts as a multiplier of gold for that campaign, which is a massive power boost, but you can also use it to buy permanent blessings. There are things like increases to damage of all champions, or like Kellenvor's Blessing, which allows us to get double the amount of per week. See? Told you. Or second power boost are gems. Gems are the standard persistent currency. You can use them to buy chests, familiars, feats, and even some skins. You gain them by completing missions for the first time and by defeating bosses. But the most important things on that list are familiars and chests. Familiars are our true auto clickers. That's Gale's hand. We can put them anywhere. The field to kill enemies and collect loot, the champion portraits to level them up automatically, the ultimates to use them, etc. Mostly, you just want 6 of them on the field because not only does that help you clear stuff faster because they hit the enemies, but that also means you don't have to keep swiping your hand over to get gold and click on the loot bag of the bosses. At the start of the game, every little bit helps, so I'm not going to lie, there will be a lot of clicking off enemies and rats in your future if you do decide to play. But once you get familiars, you transition to a more hands-off, true idle game situation. So, chests. We want them because they are how we get items. Bear with me, we're dipping our toes into freemium game bullshit here. Champions have 6 equipment spaces. Each equipment has a rarity and a level. Both come from chests. You get chests from defeating bosses. Chests come in 2 flavors, silver and gold. Silver is what you'll mostly be getting, with some lucky gold drops every once in a while. Silver gets you equipment with rarity up to uncommon, while gold gives you up to epic. Higher rarity always immediately replaces lower rarity equipment once you get it. Duplicates of equipment you already have increase the equipment's item level, and you want to get that up to level 100 because after that there's a big fall off. Now the important part, these chests only drop items for evergreen champions, hence why events are so important, because they are one of the only times you can buy chests that drop items for event specific champions. Unless, that is, you spend money. Freemium poop. But the devs are cool and the game's free, so whatever.
Come on, people.
There is also a unique type of chest, Electrum. It comes from login rewards, promo codes from dev streams, which happen all the time and are a great source of them by the way, and specific champions like Diana. Their drops go up to rare and are for every champion. So essentially stockpile these until all your current evergreens are blue or beyond so you can get stuff for your event peeps. Our third power boost comes from patrons. They essentially allow you to redo all adventures, but with farther in areas and extra restrictions. So essentially they're hard. Mirth, for example, only allows the use of good or evil champions. No filthy fan sitters here. These guys all have their own stores, currency, and fervor. Much like the gods, these guys offer us permanent boosts from blessings. Though far more often, their chests also drop items for all champions eligible for their adventures. So technically, you can also get items for event champs here, but it is a grind. We can also buy 1 from them every week. With 5 of these guys around, plus Kellenvor's Blessing, that takes our total to 7 per week. Though to get all patrons, you do need to have most champions already, because that's an unlock requirement among other things like completing campaigns. Either way, the point is to get more stuff, you gotta complete more stuff. Alright, so that was a lot of bullshit related to BG3. Where are the companions? See, you promised us companions. Well, this is relevant in case you want to get these guys out of season. Like I had to for some of them, okay? Fine, let's talk about events. Events are seasonal stuff based on the holidays and festivals of Faerun, and they're also tied to our real-world calendar. They last a bit less than a month and allow you to get 3 champs for free, the true feature ones, who are usually a new champion and a reworked one, yet this game has been around long enough that there are reworked champions, and systems and a lot of stuff. Besides those, we can choose 3 other champs from the events pool to unlock and get stuff for. The first of these is free, and the other 2 costs 5 pieces. So if you're starting out without any upgrade to your farm rate, make sure you save them up for the event. During the event, enemies drop tokens, you can use these to buy chests for your selected event champs. And that kind of became my overall goal of the game, just catch them all and kid all the champs the f*** out. Okay, we're going to take a break here so I can just gush about the game for a second. The first time you see this game, this idle game full of microtransactions made with the endorsement of one of the most infamously greedy companies, you might reasonably enough expect this to be a cynical cash grab, a soulless leech in the form of a game. Yet, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's the thing that hooked me to this game. It's so genuine about everything it does. It's brimming with that kind of positivity and joy that represents to me the best of the TTRPG community. It shows in the little fun mechanical details that are nods to the lore of champs and so on. It's in the many streams that the devs do, showing their transparency and openness. It's in the community and the many God of War guides that are indispensable to new players. Not to mention the fact that they literally brought in the Deerstalker guys and put their characters into the game. If you don't know Deerstalker, you might have actually already seen their shorts, you just don't know them by name, or their web series, One for All, which is a D&D themed web series and stuff.
Oh no! Heath had a heart attack!
Or maybe from that one DBZ parody that apparently it was them that made that I didn't realize. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, the lore goes deep. It's also in the awesome music. So there are 2 volumes of songs for the game, aptly named Bardic Inspiration. You can hear them in your streaming music platform of choice or in-game, and I freaking love them. Most of them are rock ballads of some kind, and they can be real purple earworms. Shave my hair and call me Melon, cause I'm about to talk about music. So in the first volume, we have some real bangers. Viper's Fangs, Finger Snap, and Late Night Sneaky Cut, perfect for a mistress of crime. Then we have Moneylender Merc, which tells the story of our patron in his sketchy but well-meaning monetary ways. For a while there, I just randomly bust out a "He's the Moneylender Mert." Is that catchy? The theme for the game is also very nostalgic to me in a very weird way. Like, yeah, it reminds you of old Saturday morning cartoons, but that's not the thing that comes to my mind. The thing that comes to my mind is Battlefield Heroes, Heroes! But by far, my 2 favorite songs are first, You Could Be My Dragon Queen. It's a love song about a paladin of Tiamat declaring her undying devotion for the Dragon Queen. It's such a saccharine song for an evil goddess of tyranny, which just enhances how funny it is. Like, listen to this chorus. I can't protect from copyright infringement. I got it, you know. But my other fave is Deacon's Tale of Doom. Look, I'm a simple person. I see Deacon, I dig the song. I dig the song. God, that was bad. It's a ballad of a country twang about our boy going to hell and back, despite just being a simple kobold. Moving on to Volume 2, the production just takes a leap. It is so much better. Volume 1 was good, but it did sound a little cheap. Volume 2, however, is as clean as my wallet. I spent a lot of money on this game. Join my members today! The Prince of the Abyss marries storytelling with the melody. It starts soft the moments before you see it. Then it explodes as you gaze at the Demogorgon and... Gelatinous Cube is such a banger. Not just infectious, it's also funny and has me convinced that yeah, people do take slime for granted. There's a creepy hive mind about joining the Mind Flayers. Melf's Mighty March has a sick hook. Neverwinter Dreams gets me the Neverwinter nostalgia, and One Problem at a Time is a manly man, beard-having, beer-drinking bar song that starts like this.
I want you to be happy, I want you to be safe, and if we can't be either, then I'll toast you in the grave.
Now, the cool thing that I didn't mention is that there are actually a lot of songs made for this game, 71 to be precise. Most about the champs, all done on stream, though only the ones in the albums have studio quality. To cap this off, there is actually a Volume 3, though for some reason it's only available in-game, which is a travesty because it literally has the best songs. Vecna, the Whispered One, is just... Beware the Purple Worm is catchy as fuck, and it reminds me a lot of both their songs. Cry for Justice. Hate Makes You Cold is just such a fucking mood. I love these vocals so much, and Judged by Kellenvor is actually made by Voltaire. I completely forgot he was here. Holy shit. What can I say about this? He's the GOAT. And if you don't know who Voltaire is, well, you actually probably already do if you watch Billy and Mandy. He was the guy that did the songs for the Brain Meteor and the movie. Like, these are all genuinely good songs. Good melodies, good lyrics, funny, charming, and so genuine. It's exactly the kind of thing I dig. Another way they show their care is by the lighthearted story you get for every mission. Though, this one has a problem. The presentation kind of really sucks. Like, there appears as bubbles and then just disappear, and when you click, it's not great, man. Usually I eat this shit up in games, like I read the lore of Thief and stuff that I know games aren't expecting anyone to actually read, but this one I just couldn't do it. The presentation just really did not jive with me. Like, they do give you a way to read each adventure story separately, but it's not ideal. Alright, back to the game stuff. Okay, we're finally here, let's talk about our peeps. A really fun thing about champions in this game is that their character sheet has a lot of biographical information. Gender, alignment, class, role, age, and affiliation. And it's all mechanically significant. Not only variants will interact with those, like having a girl or boys night out, but champions' abilities also do that. Druids, for example, grow stronger the more drow you have. More relevant to us is that champs of the same affiliation, that being whatever group or organization they belong to, always have some sort of synergy. The BG3 crew are called the absolute adversaries. Come on. Tell me you like it as much as I do. The alliteration and the double meaning of absolute there, it's just good stuff. The AA's gimmick is that each of them gives you a Ceramorphosis stack, as they are all infected with the absolute special tadpole, right? The more stacks, the stronger they are. Okay, so champions have specializations. These are essentially a choice you eventually get between different abilities for them, giving champions more versatility, and you more strategy options. For the AA members, one of those options will always scale off the amount of Ceramorphosis stacks you have, so no deliberation on what's good for us, we always know, get the one with the brain worms. No, not that one! First up, we have Lae'zel. Not just because she was first to come out, but because of her role. Champions all have roles. It's typical stuff, DPS, tank, healer, but the most important in this game is speed. Speed champions are actually the first champions you should be aiming to get, period. They make your runs faster, which is, again, massive in a game that measures things in real-time hours. They do this in any number of ways based on their unique abilities. Diana makes area transitions super fast, Deacon summons enemies super fast, and Basil here just straight up skips entire areas. It's all about being the fattest man alive, fastest man alive, fastest. Whenever an enemy dies at the hands of anything other than Basil, you get an impatience stack. Collect 17 to pass go. And the count starts at the amount of Ceramorphosis stacks you have, 10 with the full AA in play. For Basil's ultimate, she jumps and lands with Psychic Scream. Me too, babe, me too. Lae'zel also has aberrations as favored foes, that means she does more damage to those types of enemies. So it's great that when she's around, Mind Flayers are more likely to just spawn. And whenever she kills those, she also gets a boost to leader coordination, which is her ability that essentially gives everyone in her column a boost to damage. That skill pairs up really well for next gal, Karlach actually does the same thing to her column with her Fury of Avernus ability that also affects the column behind her as well. Stack these two gals together and your numbers are going to have problems with Chupak, because they'll be notoriously big. Okay, let's move on from that and pretend it didn't happen. That effect gets stronger for every rage stack she gets, and she gets those by getting hit. Girl is a great tank, and you want her at the front because when she reaches 20 rage stacks, she ignites, dealing damage to whoever touches her after. Her ultimate makes that effect even stronger as she consumes a soul point that raises her rage cap and her ignition damage. It also lasts until the boss area. Do not underestimate this effect. It makes Karlach very reliable at killing enemies even as you start to struggle. Lastly, remember the patrons? Mama K's old Sugar Nana is actually one of them. Karlach can be used in all of Zariel's adventures, restrictions be damned. Not only that, for each of those she completes, she gains a permanent 10% increase of Fury of Avernus. Gale has a similar ability for Elminster, who is also a patron, though his boosted column ability, Mage's Insight, actually affects the columns in front of him. Gale's gimmick is his wide options of specializations. He gets two, the first offers a lot of options, though you can't really go wrong with the Evocation one, as it makes his auto attack do damage in an area. That one is great because it pairs up really well with his Netherese Orb ability, which makes enemies hit by his attacks take significantly more damage. Gale's ultimate is, wait for it, a Gale. It pushes people back and makes them slow, great for buying time and dead puns. Will's folk hero ability gives a massive damage buff to the most represented group in the party. Lots of Dragonborn, they get the buff. Lots of Warlocks, they get the buff. A lot of AA, you betcha. Basically, it's a supremacy ability, where the majority gets a buff over the minority, and they put it on the only black guy in the AA party. That was a choice. What did they mean by that? Folk Hero is boosted by Cermorphosis stacks and enemies defeated to a cap of 10. Interestingly, Will has a pretty solid identity outside of the AA, as one of his specializations boosts Folk Hero based on how many familiars you have. It's big, but mostly only for big spenders, as free-to-play people only get 11 of those, and you'll be spreading them over 4 parties. So finally, Will has Fiends as his favorite foes, but the irony isn't lost on him, as his ultimate summons Mizora to increase his attack rate and damage. Will's daddy is also here. He isn't a member of the AA, but come on, that's Will's dad. Also, he's strong, and pairs up real nice with the AA's main damage dealer. Duke Revengard's whole deal is crits. He can massively increase your party's chances of dealing them. The Duke also boosts melee champions' damage and the effects of their abilities by how many of them are present. This ability and the party's crit chances are boosted whenever someone gets a crit. Regardless of him not having alcohol problems, you can actually buy a feat for the Duke called Illithid Temple that does give in a Cermorphosis stack. That's also true of our next champion, our girl Jaheira, who's a recurring character from even before the 3rd game, so she was actually already in the game as her younger self, though there is an older BG3 skin for her, which I of course bought. It also comes with the tadpole feat. Jaheira's deal is her specializations, where she increases the damage of her specific class groups and can choose her favorite foes. Jaheira has a set of complicated interacting abilities that I'll summarize like this. She know like beasts. More she fight, stronger she get, up to 20. Then, make everyone stronger until end. Few word good, thank. Also in her ultimate, she throws a cloud of insects on the ground. Girl, why? Still on past BG cameos, we have our boy Minsk, who is an evergreen champ. That will feature purchase happily. Minsk has a list of favorite enemies to choose, but he is also a bit of a speed guy, as he has a chance to spawn extra enemies, which makes killing them faster as enemies are staggered by waves. It's not much, but when your goal is to be Speed Racer on speed, beating Speedy Gonzalez in a Speedo, then every little bit helps. Don't ask, either I'm God touched or brain damage, and I don't want to find out which. Minsk's other abilities are long-winded ways of saying he and friends do big damage. Finally, his ultimate is deceptively effective. He swings his way around the closest enemy to the party, while Boo jumps around destroying everyone. Like, it always deals way more damage than I expect. It's just great to push past walls. Viconia, my love, is the last of the cameo characters. She too has a tadpole feat. Yes, how did you know? Viconia increases damage of evil champions and her old allies by a whole bunch. Her alignment changed from the OG games, represented here by a specialization that changes her focus from evil to good and neutral champs. The Goofing Whiffer... What the f*** did I say here? The Goofing Whiffer... The Roofing Wither? The Goofing Whiffer... The Goofing Whiffer? The Goofing Whiffer... The Goofing Whiffer? The Goofing Whiffer... The Goofing Whiffer! Oh, wow! The Goofing Whiffer is that she has a chance to freaking resurrect enemies to fight for you, and you can fill the screen with them, up to 25 undead peeps peeping abound. Her ultimate is some good old necromancy dance. Okay, 11th hour edition here because I completely forgot Volo's in this game. He's actually pretty cool. He's all about his guide to combat ability, which increases damage to the 2 columns in front of him. The rest of his abilities are all about increasing that buff. Gets stronger by each type of enemy you've encountered so far in the adventure, and it also gets stronger by how many achievements and other stuff you've completed in the game. Also, when a champ ahead of Volo is defeated, you retreat to the previous area, and when you go forward again, the guide to combat gets insanely more powerful. His interaction with the AA is via his specialization that increases the guide to combat by this Cermorphosis count. His ult isn't impressive looking, but it is a big buff to everyone's damage. And that's him. There you go, I finished this. Jesus. Here's one of the neat little things the game loves to do and that I love to love. Both Minthara and Halsin go in the same seat. This is a little nut to the fact that originally on BG3, they were supposed to be mutually exclusive. Either you got Minty or Halsin. At launch, when people managed to finagle a way to get both, they just occupied the same space at camp. So here, they still occupy the same seat. 2 sides of the same coin, they have similar mechanics, but with very different roles. Halsin has a specialization that is almost as big as him. He nearly doubles the amount of Cermorphosis stacks of his party. Minty also gives you extra stacks. 2 more! To be exact? Yeah, there's a clear winner here. Halsin boosts good champions by how many of them are present, so does Minty, but for evil guys, gals, pals. Minthara makes her allies do more damage to enemies she hits, while Halsin heals his allies. Finally, both get massive buffs depending on how many of their preferred allies are in the party. This is of special consequence to Halsin, who has a speed ability. He also completes areas based on how close you are to completing their objectives. Or something. The wording here confused me on this one, not gonna lie. Meanwhile, Minthara's speed ability is her ultimate. Kind of. She summons our spider boy Carnis to hit enemies. If he kills at least one of them and no other is left, the area is skipped. Yeah, again, Hassan is clearly the winner here. That ability is too conditional, and the ability has a cooldown, and cooldowns are like the opposite of fast. Hassan, for his ult, transforms into a bear. That's it. Not gonna lie, half expected him to summon some goblin children to maul to death. Astarion is somehow a support. A really good one at that. Astarion increases the amount of gold you get by the total age of the champion's deformation. On money, you know? But his real main ability is Outflank. It's a huge boost to all champions at either the bottom or top of the formation, dealer's choice. Astarion's ultimate is actually one of the only mechanical abilities in the game, because it actually does interact with Outflank. The ultimate is a big attack on the healthiest enemy that does a bunch of damage and heals Astarion. The kicker is that once used, he gets a stack that increases the effect of Outflank up to a cap of 10. But also, if he himself is being boosted by Outflank, his ultimate also decreases the cooldown of other ultimates, while the cooldown of his own is very short. Stuck in an area? Just use Lazo and Gale's ultimates to keep alive while stacking that well-fed ability, and you just might push past your team's wall, while being the farthest area you can go. Finally, we have the Bang Bow Shadowheart. Shard boosts the damage of everyone within chew slots of her while constantly healing those in the chew columns ahead of her. Her Goth Spice is Invoke Duplicity. An illusory Shadowheart will appear besides the champion with the highest dexterity. From there, fake Shadowheart, like Pancreas I guess, applies the same formation buffs that Shadowheart does, except their range is decreased by 1. Shadowheart's ultimate has the Relic Clapback and then turn the party invulnerable for a hot sec. So Shard is a buffer and a healer, but her most consequential buff comes from her Guidance specialization, which replaces her basic attack with the eponymous cantrip. What Guidance does is that it doubles the damage of the next auto attack your best performing DPS will do, which in this group will always be your next and last champ. In the 11th seat, the monster, the myth, the legend, Mr. Necrophiliac himself, the proof of change or the argument against it, the Dark Urge. Dirge cannot be stopped literally. No variant or mission restriction applies to him. He can literally go on every single adventure. Also, because his age is that of every secure person on planet Earth, most age abilities don't work on him, except for Astarion's generational wealth ability, which makes an exception for his husband by making him increase its effectiveness by 100%. Dirge, as a selfish killer, does not like being around other murderers, so his damage decreases for every other DPS champ he touches. But his main ability is one that I love. The Urge is your typical stack ability. Dirge gains a stack of murder for every kill, increasing his damage by 0.1%. Low increase, right? Well, there is no cap to it. Not as in a lie, I mean like in no limit, but that's not all. It's persistent. Between adventures, the stacks are permanent, forever. Dirge gets increasingly stronger forevermore the more you use him. So, of course, when I saw that, I had to get it up there, you know? So I went to an adventure, stayed in one area, picked some speed champs to increase spawn rate, popped an epic potion of speed, and left to live my life. I now have 23 million stacks. There is actually a max, and it's half the population of planet Earth. Dirge's true specializations are also of note. First is either a strike that does a ton of damage in an area, or you can get something that doubles the stacks you get for every kill. But the second specialization is way more interesting. You can redeem the Dirge, changing his alignment to lawful good, and his ultimate to one that revives everyone with the help of good old withers, or you can double down and stay chaotic evil to unlock your Slayer form as your ultimate. It's actually honestly not that good. It's slow and the damage doesn't increase that much. You do get to see Murder Butler though, which is always a plus in my book. With 4 Avengers assembled, I made my way through the game's first 4 campaigns, clearing all their adventures and variants, and I will say, seeing those maps without any green, yellow, or red pips, and filled with the cleared flags, is so satisfying. I just like completing checklists too much. After that, I hit a bit of a wall with the Witchlight campaign and beyond, so I went back to clear all those variants and get the remaining familiars. But some of those variants were a real bitch. A lot of them just depend on you having enough champs to use despite the restrictions, but by far the worst kind is the last variant in every campaign. They always go something like this. Any champ you place is fixed there until you clear a certain amount of areas, and the game randomly takes away a random champion of yours, and you can't use them for the rest of the adventure. It's so annoying. It turns into an exercise of patience, because if you up just a little bit, you can't end with a formation so you can't clear the last few areas even though you are so close to the end. Hate those. I've literally done everything in the Avernus campaign but that variant. That. And it was by then that I figured it was time to make the team truly legendary. The trials are essentially this game's version of raids, though it's not as interactive with other people as you might be thinking. You are all essentially just doing your standard missions, but working together for the same goal. So how does it work? The trial lasts an entire week. It's its own map with its own adventure, with new variants popping every day. See this big red bar? That's Tiamat's health, and it's huge! Your objective is to kill her before the week's over. Your damage is dealt per second, and it's the sum of the gold and damage you dealt during the trial's adventures. You can multiply your damage by completing the variants that appear every day, so don't panic if it seems like you aren't doing much. It will exponentially get better as you go. Though some people are so cracked they can just waste Tiamat during the first couple days, it's crazy. Your reward for the victory are scales. These are what you use to turn epic items into legendary ones. You need like 600 to 800 scales for that. Luckily by then I was already playing pretty passively, and a lot of events were already awarding Tiamat scales too, so that sped things up considerably. And before long, the Absolute's adversaries were absolutely stacked. But you see, I also had something a bit insane that I wanted to do. I mentioned briefly that there are shiny equipments in this game. They make your items even better, and are separate of rarity. Once you get a shiny item, that item slot will always be shiny even if you upgrade its rarity. Much like shiny Pokemon, they are extremely hard to get, a 1 in 1,000 chance. All of my Dirge's equipment is shiny, baby. Okay, so this is actually less impressive than it sounds. All patrons sell exactly 1 potion of polish. These make one of your items shiny. There are 5 patrons. I had gotten a shiny already because I bought a skin for Dirge, so that was all I needed to make him the brightest, darkest murder hobo around. After making them all legendary by that point, I had also already collected all champions and had a wealth of I still have some campaigns to complete, but with 1,000 hours in the game and most of the things that I really wanted to do done, I'm ready to just let it sit for a while. And that, folks, is how I spent 1,000 hours in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. See you later. Darkseid, you are part of God's plan. Light cannot exist without the dark. And Darkseid's like, I don't want to be a part of God's plan. I want to
Kill.
Diana lost her people, the Amazons, and is raised in hell alone. Superman never gets to have his Kansas childhood, being forced to see his family and planet die and come to Earth already as a teen. And Bruce? Well, they took away his money. I know he really got the short end of the stick there.